What's going on, guys? We have Dave Smith and Nick Fuentes. The interview we've all been waiting for, or I guess you could say podcast. It was yesterday. It was, I think, 3.5 hours long, and they covered all topics, ranging from the 2020 election being, uh, stolen, as you say, or Israel and their hold on our government, or the fact that Nick called Dave Smith the Fed. And anyways, they get into a lot of specifics. Enough talking. We're going to react to the best clips of the podcast that went on for 3.5 hours yesterday. Please like, comment, subscribe. Also, if there's anything you want me to react to in the future, just let me know in the comment section. Hope you guys are having a blessed day with you and your loved ones. Let's get it.
Stuff is where these accusations of you being a Fed have come from. Which, full transparency here, I do not believe that you're a Fed. I don't fucking know. Who the hell knows? Everybody, you're a Fed. Everyone's a Fed. Right. I don't know who's the Fed and who's not a Fed. But I know that this was something that, Tucker had said, and I think you were very upset by this, and understandably so. I think that that's it's a particular type of accusation that is it's a very frustrating one, I think, in a way, because it's kind of like, oh, you're just, everything you said is undermined now, right? Like I don't have to deal with anything. And I think that anyway, I understand why that upset you a lot. But I think from what I've heard, that a lot of this comes from the January 6th stuff, and the accusation is that you were encouraging people to go into the Capitol. So what's the deal with all that?
Well, it even goes back to something else, which is the Joe Kent story, which I brought up before, because I was at January 6th, and at January 6th, I got up there and I gave a speech. And in the speech, I gave speeches at all these events, by the way. I went to the Atlanta State Capitol, Harrisburg, Phoenix, Lansing, and even D.C. And I gave speeches at Governor's Mansion, state capitals in D.C. before. And J6, we thought it was going to be the speech on the Ellipse. And then we were going to maybe do something at the actual Capitol building, although I wasn't going to be there. But there were plans for there to be stages there. And, so like I said, I went to the speech. Trump said, go to the thing. We went to the thing. And somebody said, you got to give a speech. So I said, okay, find me a megaphone. I get a megaphone. I jump up on a thing. And we're like 500 feet from the Capitol. We're not even near the building. We're like on the street next to the lawn. And in the speech, I said, we're taking the Capitol back, keep moving, take down the barriers. And then we left. We didn't go in. I wasn't even close to the building. And this video had been out there for a long time. And people knew I was there and didn't get charged. I got my money frozen, although I wasn't public about that. I got on the no-fly list. I went public with that, went public with the money later. There was never an accusation until like about a year later. And then people started to create this story that, that I was leading people in and I didn't get charged. Now, where it started with Tucker is with Joe Kent, because now, like 2 years later, I make potentially Joe Kent lose the election. And Joe Kent was a close friend of Tucker's.
Right.
Joe Kent is in the CIA. And that is how we attacked him. We attacked him on that basis. And of course, it was in self-defense. He said that he disavowed me, condemns all my views, we're keeping you out. And I looked at him as very threatening because, like we talked about before, he's kind of boxing me out intentionally. So we made him lose. And it was a couple of months after this is where I first got the inkling of it. Michelle Malkin, who's a good friend of mine.
I know Michelle. I've had her on the show before. She's great.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And she's married to a Jewish guy, so you can't be mad at her.
Look at that. Good woman.
And he's great too, actually. He's pretty based himself. But so she communicates to me through a mutual friend that she gets this really weird call from Tucker. She says that Tucker never calls her. Sometimes she texts him and he'll give her thumbs up, but they don't really talk. She says, but he calls her out of the blue asking about me and asking about Kanye. Did Nick make Kanye go crazy? Did Nick try to take Trump out at the Kanye dinner?
I don't think anyone can hold you responsible for that.
You could blame me for a lot, but that's
no, this one rests squarely on the shoulders of Pete Davidson. We all know that. We all know that. You get your family stolen by Pete Davidson, you're going to lash out at the world.
You're going to get radicalized. Yeah. But so he's calling her asking about all this stuff and about J6. And she said it was very strange. Like, it felt like he was reading from a script. He was asking these questions. And she just told me to be on alert. Then I get a call from Anya Parampol, the wife of Max Blumenthal at Gray Zone. They're doing a piece about me. And she asked me about the Capitol. And I tell her the story. I said, I was 500 feet away. I testified. I got subpoenaed by Congress. I said, I testified under oath. I did not talk to law enforcement. She publishes this 3-part hit piece about me saying that I'm basically what Tucker said, that I'm here to make America first look bad, that I'm a Fed, that I made Joe Kent lose. The only reason I made Joe Kent lose is because I'm a Fed trying to whatever. And so I do a big stream reviewing the hit piece and debunking basically the whole thing. Then I get a call from Bryson Gray, the MAGA rapper. Now he's a Christian rapper. He's working for a company called Influenceable, which they pay influencers to push social media campaigns. He goes, my wife just got a new campaign from Influenceable. They're paying people money to post the link to this article with the hashtag #FedFuentes. And there's like a whole spreadsheet. It said, or a whole like readout. It said the campaign is Fed Fuentes. Post the link to this article and say these things, and you get paid. And someone posted it. This like state representative in New York. I forget his name a long time ago, but he was the only one who had posted it. I put them on blast. Influenceable calls me up. Please stop talking about us. We will take it down. We promise. Everyone's trying to broker this big truce. Huh. That's how, because I was pro Tucker. I was a big fan up until that point. And I said, so clearly, because him and Blumenthal are tight, he was fishing because he knew Michelle for this story. Blumenthal's wife wrote it. And that was like a coordinated hit job in retaliation for their buddy, Joe Kent, who lost. And anyway, so that's kind of where the rivalry started. And by the way, I know for a fact that at a recent dinner, Tucker, even before he talked shit about me in July, he was pushing that script to anyone who would listen, to other e-celebrities, to students, saying, yeah, Nick is this gay kid. He's trans and he's a Fed and he's here to make us look.
See, that's the problem. When they don't like what you're saying or exposing, they use the old school talking points. Lie, hate on you, say things that aren't true about you. For example, that he's a Fed or works with the CIA. I loved Tucker he was one of my favorite journalists, still is till the day, but he has lost a lot of credibility in regards to how he talked and down to Nick Fuentes. He doesn't know him personally. They've never really talked or had a chat. So for him to go out of his way to say that just shows that Nick Fuentes is right on target. And I believe this is definitely before Tucker had his come to Jesus moment, as I call it, where you kind of wake up and realize that you have been propagandized throughout this whole time while working for a big media company. And now you're waking up, seeing all the signs around you that you were lied to about everything. You were given a script and you repeated what you were told to say. And people back then didn't like it, but Nick Fuentes was the first one who said it. So my ordeal is, if he was a Fed, you think he'd be critiquing Israel? No, Nick Fuentes was the first one critiquing Israel. So that just kind of disavows that whole he's a Fed narrative right off the bat. And again, I love Tucker, but I really believe that soon he can't keep running away from the Fuentes talk. We need to see them to do a collaboration. It will gain so many eyes. That would probably be a record amount of eyes since Tucker's last sit-down talk with Trump. I believe that was the other record views when it comes to a talk or sit-down. Him and Fuentes would be huge, though. I would love to see that. I know there would probably be some back and forth, but you know what? That's good. Conversations, debates, good to have in today's societies. Regardless if you agree, you disagree, but that's something the left doesn't do, but that is something we definitely do and cherish on the right. Free speech, free debate, it doesn't matter. And that's how you move on as a country divided. Talk, civil debate.
Like you're trying to take him down a peg. You get what I'm saying?
I do. And from the outside looking in, I get it. But I would say that with Tucker, it started before all that. It started before he was ever criticizing Israel. This was in 2023, at the beginning of 2023, before October 7th. And,
right.
and Tucker never said anything negative about Israel up to that point, with the exception of one thing he did about the ADL. And, same thing with Candace. I mean, I supported Candace like I supported Tucker to the hilt. I had an account called Standis Owens. I stan Candace Owens, and we were like gassing her up during the whole thing. And all I ever said about Candace is that it felt like she was kind of blowing smoke up my ass about why she wouldn't do the show with me. And I didn't like that, after she gets all this clout, she's clouded up. She then starts saying it's the Frankists. It's the Frankist. And I said, yeah, that's not true. Like, that's nonsense. And even this year, she invites me on her show, and I ask her, I said, well, is it going to be a hit piece? She goes, no, I don't set anybody up. I get all dressed up. I fly down there, look into, she extended the olive branch. I accept. And she's motherfucking me about drama from a year ago, about are you racist? Are you anti-Semitic? Why aren't you married? All this kind of stuff. Friendly interview. I don't even think it was cordial. I think it was basically, it was an attempted hit job. And, so like with you, I mean, look, we have disagreements, and here we are talking about them. And I think I said during my show, like, I like you and I respect you, but I also speak freely. And if I disagree, I say something. And, these other people got to recognize, like Tucker and Candace, they're more powerful than me. They have institutional backing. Tucker is from Fox. Candace is from Daily Wire. They never got censored from anything. Me, I never had any. They tried to throttle me in the crib. By they, I mean conservatives, from the time I was 18. And I've been banned from most things for 5 years. So it just, to me, it's like a little unfair. It's like when Ben Shapiro quote tweeted me with 1,000 followers for Tucker.
Well, that's something else. I mean, but
I think it's similar. I mean, Tucker and Candace getting together and saying, oh, this guy's like a fed. It's like, yeah, well, you guys have millions and millions of followers that you accumulated serving the system that I was getting killed by for 5 years. So that's why I feel like I have a special license to attack, because it's punching up. But, I don't know what to make of Tucker and Candace. I would say, if I was being charitable, that there's immense distrust on both sides.
Yeah.
And for obvious reasons, because I'm an unknown quantity on the outside who, they probably don't watch everything. They don't know what's happening down here. And on the other side, they are exiting the institutions. So from someone on the outside, it's like, are you CIA? Where are your loyalties? What do you really believe? Are you concealing what you really believe, and to what extent? And so, I guess
this goes, and I've explained this or spoken about this many of times, the Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens get together, talk podcast, as you call it. It was a hit job. He is right. I've spoken on that many of times. Candace did not look good in that presentation at all. She lost so much credibility. Left, right, central, everyone was saying that Nick Fuentes just stomped her in that talk, which it was supposed to be a debate, I believe, about the Iran conflict, which Israel brought us into as well. And they didn't speak about that at all. She came across as a Karen. But you know what? I will give Candace Owens kudos. Since then, she has done a lot of good things. For example, the Charlie Kirk assassination. If I got assassinated like that, I would want my close loved ones to really look into it, instead of just saying, oh, it was this person, even though, as we know now, it wasn't Tyler Robinson as reported. It just wasn't. There's literally video evidence that have come out and proven that he wasn't even there at the time. So these people are telling us to believe what's we're being said, but Candace does some actual digging and found out it wasn't him. So we wouldn't have known that without Candace. So in my opinion, she lost credibility in regards to the Nick Fuentes and her sit down, but she is slowly gaining it back. I won't always hold a grudge on someone as long as you can do or learn from that mistake and then do better. And I feel like Candace has been doing that lately. So I'm going to give her kudos. And again, I'm always going to give Nick Fuentes kudos. They're exposing so much stuff right now that we are told to look the other way or disavow because we are Republicans. Prime example, to support Israel. And these two are doing a lot, including Dave Smith, including Tucker Carlson, on exposing our taxes, the wars we're in are all going and created by Israel. And we need more people like that to speak out.
Especially,
hence, this is a big reason why I started doing what I'm doing, because I might not be the biggest, but you know what? I'm going to say my opinion. And I'm not going to get paid to lie. I will never get paid to lie. You will never tell me what I can and cannot say on my own show. And I speak that way because right now we have all the big media chains that are literally in bed with the pharmaceutical industries and the neocons who are running these wars, who are burning our taxpayer dimes into oblivion and sending them overseas to fund wars that have nothing to do or nothing to benefit us as Americans. And it is infuriating. And Americans and American voters should wake the fuck up, because it's going to get worse if you guys don't start looking who funds these politicians. It's mostly the Israel lobby. And if you would ask me a few months ago before I jumped down the Israel rabbit hole, I would have said they're our biggest ally. But you know what? I do think that China and Israel are our number one enemies. That's just my opinion. But I do think that China offers more. I just think Israel offers just havoc and nothing good to our country. If at least if you go to China or you see the like videos from China, their agriculture, their inventions, their intelligence is on another level from nothing I've seen. Like I saw this dude with these like they have these like machine legs now. Like let's say there's a slow fat person that can't run, they will literally put these things, they almost look like sandals that are like machine operated, and it will literally make you run faster than you would normally run. That's pretty impressive. Anyways, sorry guys, I keep on blabbing on. Let's go to the next segment.
Actually, now with the new media landscape, with the amount of influence that me and you have right now, I don't know, we've got some opportunities to say like, hey, no, we're not just going to go along with this. We ought to plant a flag at like one reasonable point and go, we're not bending on this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we need to throw our weight around, and we'll have a much better opportunity to do that because in 28, it's an open field on both sides. In 2016, 2024, Trump was like the 10,000 pound gorilla in the room, immovable. Like you, me, all of us put together, like no one was going to knock him off that trajectory, which is why maybe it was naive for me to like withhold the vote outside of like reasons in principle or for rhetoric. But in 28, we can't shape the race because, like you said, I don't think Vance is a shoe-in at all. He's not a national figure. Very good chance he goes the way of DeSantis, where it's a failure to launch, it's a crash and burn situation. And then it's wide open. And I would say that, people say that I'm like a Democrat or like I wanted Kamala to win. And it's like, you think I don't know that Trump is better than Kamala. Everyone knows that. But I love what you said about these like knock-on second order effects, because you're 100% right. Biden winning and like Trump getting banned from YouTube and all that, that's probably why Elon bought Twitter. Like that maybe doesn't happen in a universe where Trump won the 2020 election and all the other downstream effects that took place. Trump being president now is sweeter than it would have been from 20 to 24. And you could have never predicted that. Like you said, that Biden winning would force the pendulum to swing in the other direction. I think there was something true about, Trump and Kamala in 24. If Kamala inherited the war in Gaza and the Ukraine war, would we get something insanely radical in 28, like a real reset? Maybe. You can never know. What I would say, though, about 28, and this is maybe new, is like when you look at what Trump is doing, he's creating a lot of tension right now. The ICE raids, the militarization of law enforcement, the war everywhere in Venezuela, Ukraine, Iran, the advance of AI and technology. It's like, if a Democrat wins in 29, I'm moving to another country, because whoever comes into power from the left is going to want blood, because they're going to want vengeance for all. If they regroup, that's sort of presumptuous. Yeah. If they regroup and reorganize, they're going to kill us, because like in Chicago, I live right by where this is happening. They set up this detention facility. They're rounding people up, putting hype edits of it on Twitter. It's pissing liberals off. Liberals are going to the place, protesting. The cops are beating the shit out of them and laughing and taunting them. More protesters come. Now they're ramming cars into ICE cars. The cops are shooting them. Now they're bringing in DHS. It's like we've gone so far up this escalation ladder in like 3 months. And what I fear is that Trump is not going to finish the job. He's not going to salt the earth and destroy Antifa. So all he's doing is pissing these people off. And that means the violence is going to get worse. They're going to organize. We're going to get like Mamdani for president in 28 or, something along that vein. And that's why I think it's really important that like a Republican does win, but it just can't be Vance. So like, that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Cause they're really barking up the wrong tree, in my opinion. They're signing checks they can't cash.
I completely agree. And I don't think that Vance is that future person. Until Trump actually picked him, I didn't even know who the hell Vance was, to be honest. And supposedly he is a Peter Thiel. If you don't know who that is, look into that. He is the one that groomed J.D. Vance before he had his rise to fame. When he was still in college, he found him and thought he was eloquent, sounded smart, good debater. So what did they do? They groomed these politicians at a young age to get them to where they want them to be. And it's disgusting that we have people like that who have those very high positions of power, even though they're not elected, who can just groom these politicians or pay them off to get policy decisions that benefit them and their companies or their thoughts or what they think things should be ran as. And it's disgusting. The future of the Republican Party is very simple. We have very few, but Democrats, they have none. I mean, majority of both sides are owned by AIPAC, the Israel lobby, and that's just facts. I believe 197 of the 200 senators, both sides of the aisle, so that's just three senators are not bought and paid for by the Israel lobby. That is crazy if you think about that as a whole. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Matt Gaetz. That's who I think are the future of our party. If we truly elect America first conservatives who believe in the founding principles of America first, not Israel first, not China first, not any country first. We're talking about America first. And I think that those three would be a huge positivity in the future of our party, especially when it comes to just seeing how Israel controls both sides right now. In regards to Antifa, we need to go harder. I mean, I think they are given way too many warnings to these liberal states, and they need to bring in the military. I mean, you have huge crowds of Antifa, white liberals, usually with masks on, that are literally attacking these officers. They are way overpowered, understaffed, and I don't know what the hell has taken so long for us to send the military or the proper needs to make sure this kind of stuff doesn't happen. Pam Bondi is a joke. I feel like she's behind all of this destruction. So many empty promises that she cannot fulfill. It amazes me that Trump still defends her till this day, has her in his administration, because from what I know, she's the one that makes these choices in regards to Epstein, arresting people, and we're just not seeing any of it. And I'm telling you, before we know it, the midterms are going to be here, and if these promises are still being swept under the rug or being lied about, Epstein, for example, Trump calling it a Democrat hoax, people aren't happy about that at all. At all. I mean, we're literally picking the less shitty of the two shitty sides. It's ridiculous at this point. And again, I voted for Trump 3 times, but I'm not satisfied at all. I think we are not doing enough work. While we have 3 branches of government right now, we are not taking advantage of this just like the first time. It's a wasted opportunity. And I think Pam Bondi is going to be one of the huge reasons why Trump's administration and the policy decisions that he pushed to the American people when he ran for this 3rd time, she's going to be the reason why it doesn't succeed. And it's very infuriating that he still defends her till this day.
Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I'd, of course, be very interested in that, but I just don't see evidence for that. And people are trying to, it's like anything. In hindsight, you can look at every person's reaction in the crowd and say they're a decoy or an operative, whatever. There's really nothing hard or conclusive that proves anything other than that happened yet. And I'm open to possibilities. What is interesting, but a different conversation, maybe related, is the Israel thing. And I think very clearly, as you and Tucker and Candace and others have, and Max Blumenthal have said, there's ample evidence that at the minimum, there was something dynamic there. He was a pro-Israel guy for many years. Now, seems like that was in flux. And a lot of the evidence has kind of been knocked out. This Bill Ackman retreat, Bill Ackman produced the texts and Charlie arranged the whole thing. And it was a forum where I'm sure disagreement was expressed, but it showed generally they were still aligned. More interesting was his interview with Megyn Kelly, where clearly he platformed Tucker and you, and it seemed that supporting Israel was in contention, which they hate that that's even on the table, because it matters how you set the table. It doesn't necessarily even matter what your position is, but they don't want that to be up for debate. Do we support Israel? Not a question they want people to ask.
Especially when you're losing the debate.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that doesn't help either.
Yeah, especially when you get booed and, you know, killed in the debate. They don't like that either. And so even that, they were really pushing back on Charlie, threatening. I guess the new revelation is they took the money. They took the $2 million. It's a pretty big organization, but that's not a negligible chunk of change for Charlie and Turning Point USA. And he goes in the group chat, and assuming, like you said, that it's authentic, you know, that is, I think, the most stark thing we've heard from him on the record, where he says, I have to leave the Israel camp. And I would say that's even different than what he said on Megyn Kelly. Because on Megyn Kelly, he said, oh, you're going to call me an anti-Semite? He sort of stopped himself. He said, well, you're going to lose me. That's what he was going towards.
Yeah, and then
you're not going to lose me. He goes, but I'm going to be deflated. In that text, he says, I'm out. And I would characterize that as I was his rival, and I'm very cynical about him. He was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. He was really in the middle because, like you said, it's young people. They are Israel critical, and he had to go and defend the bullshit to them at the campus, in the arena, in the pit, you know. So it's easy for them in the ivory tower to say, yeah, we love Israel still. He's actually having to get the shit, and 100 Groypers on the line saying, why do you still love Israel? And I think that he recognized it became a liability and started to try and accommodate everybody, Tucker and the other side, Candace and the other side, the Groypers, so to speak, or the Dave Smith people and the other side. And the other side wasn't having it. They said, you better get the fucking line or we're pulling the plug. And I think he defiantly said, I will not be bullied. I thought it would have been interesting to see where that would have went, but sadly we'll never know.
Yeah, and we also would have never discovered that if it wasn't for Candace Owens. Good thing she brought that to light. Otherwise, all these conspiracy theories would continue to be happening. I mean, yes, we know that Charlie Kirk was considering leaving the Israel lobby or not associating himself with it. And I find it very crazy. And, you know, I'm a conspiracy nut, that literally 2 days before the assassination happened, God rest his soul, may he rest in peace, that they were pressuring to give him a $150 million deal from the Israel lobby. It's just too many coincidences has happened. And usually my conspiracy theories are like a 96% ratio being correct. So I'm going to continue to say that I think it wasn't the person they said it was. Well, it's already been proven. If you just look on X, there's videos showing and proving that Tyler was not at that event at that time. So if that's who wasn't the person who took out Charlie Kirk, and that's what Trump's FBI is still telling us till this day, who is the true shooter? They've been lying to us this whole time. They've had camera footage this whole time, and they continued to lie to us the whole time. I'm telling you, we can't trust any administration. This administration lies a lot too. Not as much as the previous administration, I will give them that. But they are really testing our knowledge and treating us like we are dumb, and we are not dumb.
Arguments are superior. It's just good for business, man. Yeah. That's a big part of it, at least.
Well, I don't disagree at all, because that's sort of the nature of institutions. They're self-perpetuating. You know, they'll prescribe themselves bigger budgets and more missions and things. So I totally agree with that. That's the professional managerial class, what they do.
Right.
But where I would push back is saying that, you know, let's say, for example, like Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison is the second richest guy in the world. They're buying the media. Him and his son are buying TikTok. They're buying CBS. Who does he put in charge of CBS? Bari Weiss. Bari Weiss was helped by Hazony and Brett Stevens. It's like, that very clearly is a Jewish club. And they're cutting through society. And yeah, they run in other elite circles. And yeah, they have their accomplices that are not Jewish. Even, you know, look at the Trump administration. Trump brokered that deal. He's a Gentile, but he got money from Miriam Adelson. And his grandchildren are Jewish because his son-in-law is Jewish. And it's like, it's almost like that exception doesn't prove the rule. And you're right about the Vulcans, you know, Condi and Bush and all them. They're Gentiles too. But it's like, it seems that society is always being pushed by this organized minority. Because you're right, there are Rawlsian liberals that are white, and there are, you know, evangelical Christians that are white that are neocons. But it just seems like the Jews being because by definition, they're organized in a way that nobody else is. Like Bush is not organized as a white guy or even very much as a Christian. But you do have like a World Zionist Congress. You do have a World Jewish Congress. You have the, Conference of Major American Jewish Organizations. I don't even think people realize the extent to which Jews are organized in community centers by Chabad, in university with their fraternities, and in business, and in their localities. It's like they're extremely organized. And as far as the average Jew is concerned, yeah, they're not running the banks. I don't think your average Jew is like a spy. But I do think that your average Jew is inherently distrusting of like patriotism and nationalism. It's like Sarah Silverman said when she saw her white boyfriend put a American flagpole on her lawn, she said it reminded her of Hitler. How many Jews is that attitude prevalent? When they saw Trump, they thought the same thing, fascism. They said it could not happen here. It's sort of that same attitude. And I think here is what I will concede. I think that by we, I mean me, if my movement wants to have power and really put America first, it means we are going to have to sideline, by definition, Jews that put the Jewish nation first.
Yeah, well, I think and Christians too, for that matter. I mean, like,
I disagree. I think America.
Well, I'm saying Christians. I'm saying Christians who put Israel first.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm saying, which there are plenty of. Sure. And look, it's a huge part of this, because you talk about the like kind of organization, but I think that's very true for evangelical Christians who are constantly having preachers, tell them that like this is your duty, is to have this political outlook. I mean, there's tens of millions of them in the country. Yeah. And like, look, you can always say, well, that's the Jews manipulating them. But again, it just seems like this is presuming the conclusion. It's like,
are we not being manipulated though in that way?
Of course. No, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying it's not just Jews at the top of doing the manipulation. And
I agree, but that's where I have to come in as a Christian white American and say, we have to disentangle these things and say, wake up the evangelicals and say, look, this is not, you're American, you're Christian. They are not Christian. They are not American. It is not in our interest. We have to take our own side.
I think.
Yeah, I agree. And not to mention what our taxes fund in that country, the country Israel. If you guys did a deep dive, and I did this yesterday, on where our taxes are going to in regards to how much funding and money we send to Israel every year, you would be disgusted. We have homeless veterans, homeless Americans on the street, and we are sending these people billions of dollars every year. Also, on top of that, we have American military members who are fighting in Israel. Why the hell is our military in Israel fighting their wars for them? We should be in America. It's just disgusting once you actually see and dig into where our taxes, where our politicians spend most of their time and resources. It's insanity, and it should irritate every single person.
It's become very popular over the past year and a half. I see a lot of the young men, they watch Matt Walsh, they watch this other stuff, and they say, well, yeah, I just don't really care about Israel that much. I care about America. And I saw Matt Walsh say that on Tucker. He said, and you could tell that it is like a rhetorical innovation, because let's be honest, this is an issue that people like Matt Walsh don't want to talk about, because he works for Ben Shapiro, and he knows, like Candace Owens, if you drift too far on that subject, you lose your job. And he likes having a job. So you get it. Now, this is an extremely contentious issue also, and it's very topical. It's in the news, and he knows the question's coming. Are you pro-Israel? Are you anti-Israel? There's people that feel very strongly about it. And you could tell this is like a rhetorical device. It's a cop-out where you can say, I'm not pro-Israel, but I'm not anti-Israel. I just don't care. And that really pissed me off, because it seems like you're feigning ignorance. You're either lying or you're really ignorant. And the reason why is because, be that as it may, that you don't care about Israel, we happen to be supporting their war, and it's actually hurting us. And there's other things too. Obviously, it's a big subject. There's a lot of this stuff going on. And so people say, well, let them kill each other. If you've been paying attention, one side's doing a lot more killing. We're paying for it. We are.
Yeah, and that's sad what's happening to Gaza. I mean, that's not me saying I support Hamas. It's me saying that there's little genocide going on, and it's not acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable in any country it's happening on. And Yeah, it's just crazy because I've actually looked into October 7th, which they always bring up as their number one reason to continue this genocide is October 7th. Do you guys know there was a special election that was supposed to happen I think it was like a couple days before or after that happened. And because of that, he was able to cancel the election, Netanyahu that is. And now there's no election. But the majority of Israel, it seems like, had him at record low approval and we're going to elect someone else. And now there's actual leaders who are running against him currently in Israel that are on record. You can find these clips on X saying that he knew about this and they were told to stand down for hours to let Hamas do these disgusting things. So it looks like both of them are at fault. And also Charlie Kirk has critiqued that as well in the past. They're like, how is like the number one like military secured country in the whole world, just how did they let this fumble so badly? And I agree. It's disgusting. Anyways, it is a 3-hour podcast. I wanted to react to the best parts, in my opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast and reaction. See you on the next video. Peace.